serving the internet.
He had a 7-lemonade stand business at the age of 6. Raked in $1,000 to $2,000 a week flipping baseball cards at 12. Exploded his family's $3 million liquor business into a $60 million brand. He's my friend, Gary Vaynerchuk, and it's time to nerd out.
Nerds Podcast.
The Ad Nerds Podcast delivers ad industry news weekdays. We're the go-to source for people who spend money on advertising, covering big brands, small businesses, and of course the latest marketing trends. It's me, Spanky Moskowitz, the show's host and a nearly 40-year vet of the ad industry. I've made ads for Budweiser, M&M's, Frito-Lay, the NFL, NBA. I've created over 100,000 ads in my career, generating hundreds of billions in client revenue. If you're in or interested in the world of advertising and want to stay up to date with the latest news, the Ad Nerds Podcast is the perfect place to start.
Ad Nerds Podcast.
And starting today, I am so excited. Gary V, finally, welcome to the Ad Nerds Podcast, my friend.
It's so good to be here.
I am so grateful to you. First of all, I've been sharing this conversation with my audience, both on social media and throughout the podcast about the colorectal cancer diagnosis. I appreciate you moving this up in your busy schedule to accommodate all the stuff that's going on with me. I can't tell you how much that means to me.
I'm happy to do it, brother. Really nice to be with you.
Thank you. So let's dive right in, Gary. If you're talking to a small business owner today, what are 3 things that you would tell a small business owner right now that they should be doing in their marketing?
Organic social content, specifically on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels. Really thinking about starting to learn how to use AI. Really prompt engineering, which means what do you enter into all these AI apps to get good output? So starting the journey, don't be crippled by what I just said. I know that sounds complicated, but this would be it would be like me saying, get on the internet or start a Twitter account in 2006 for Twitter or 1999, 7 for the internet. I don't need you to be an AI expert, but I definitely don't need you to put your head in the sand and not have ever touched an AI tool like Midjourney, or even Bing has a really easy plugin to make creative from it. So that's number 2. And then number 3, doing what you're doing right now. Every business needs to have a core platform, a show, a podcast, a go-to social media series. So, everyone now is in the business of being a media company, and then they happen to do something. They happen to be an agency. They happen to sell flowers. They happen to, mow lawns. But the quicker every small business understands that without them making creative, acting like a publisher, acting like a media company, they're leaving growth. And more importantly, they're creating the opportunity for a competitor to do it. And, Google ads are not going to last forever, just like the yellow pages didn't last forever. Your sales team, your reputation. People always, the amount of real estate agents that have hit me up in the last 10 years, because I used to always do this at conferences and be like, hey, I know you've been the queen of the town for 30 years, but if you take this Facebook and Twitter and YouTube thing not seriously, someone's going to come along and take your business. The amount of people that have emailed me in the last 3, 4, 5 years in the real estate sector saying, you were right. I didn't take it serious. I saw you at the Inman. I saw you at the Tom Ferry thing. I saw you on the internet. You said that. I laughed at you because I had 22 years of market dominance. But now this kid out of nowhere, just by making TikToks and YouTube videos, has taken a lot of my business. What do I do? How do I close the gap? And I'm like, well, now you're playing catch up. And so those are the 3 things. Social media content, getting great at it. Number 2, tasting AI. Number 3, starting a show. Whether it's a radio show like you had, a video show, or even a written show, even if you're writing articles on LinkedIn, now you're acting like a newspaper, which is a media company, and that's fine too.
Sure. Over the years, you and I have talked about my passionate dislike for programmatic ad buying. But some small business owners have this belief that they think it's the cheapest way to build their brand. What are your thoughts on this?
I think a lot of the programmatic stuff, the inventory itself shows up very poorly as a banner ad or a pre-roll and isn't actually being consumed. So I love the concept of programmatic. I love using technology. But my question always to a lot of my friends and big companies that buy programmatic is, where is it showing up, and is it a good ad, and did it work? Like, I continue, it's very nice to have $3 CPMs, but if that's on the bottom of lawnmowersdaily.com and it's like a banner ad at the bottom, or a video that you made, one video to work across the whole internet, like, you kind of get what you pay for sometimes in life. And like, if the impressions are cheap, there's probably a reality that like a lot of people aren't actually consuming it, let alone no matter what the data shows. And so the reason I've always struggled with a lot of the programmatic inventory is it's bad inventory. You could pay $3 a square foot for a retail location. I have a good feeling that that's a really bad retail location.
Yeah. Yeah. The price should say it all. And plus, the integrity of your brand is at play too, because you could be put on a site that you don't want to be put on, like a porn site or something.
With that. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not overly worried about that. I think fear positioning isn't real. Like, I'm less worried about showing up on a porn site. Like, if someone's like, you're on a porn site, I'm like, well, why were you on the porn site? Like, that's not super hard. Like, I'm not overly worried about that.
Right.
I'm more worried about, did you spend money to make what you wanted to happen? For example, Spank, I often, when I do things for winetext.com, everyone should sign up, or VFriends, I'm usually buying things that are more expensive CPMs, because the premium nature of the cost indicates, sometimes not, but when I do my process of common sense, looking at data, it often indicates high value awareness, like actually consumed information. The only reason I love social media is because the ads are kind of integrated into the flow of consumption. Half the ads I'm consuming on social today, I don't even realize it's an ad in the first 10 seconds, because people are getting better at creative. Every ad I see on traditional internet and every ad I see on television, I know is an ad.
Right. The minute you see it, you're like, they're trying to get me. Screw.
The last, this weekend, I watched Full Pledge thinking it was just regular content. Like, wait a minute, they're selling the spaghetti strainer. Wait a minute, this is a ketchup ad. Like, people are starting to catch on to what I believe, and that's exciting to see, because shit, that's the way I'd rather buy stuff. I'd rather buy it by being entertained or educated by the creative.
So, one of the things that I like to talk about are branding, advertising, and marketing. I like to call it BAM. You can thank Emerald Lagasse for that. Mm-hmm. But it's like the trifecta of growth for businesses. Does one have more long-term value than the other in your eyes?
Of course, brand.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, because I don't even know why I bought these sneakers for probably $1,000. Like, that swoosh made me do it, and Virgil Abloh and Off-White made me do it. It wasn't an ad. I didn't see an ad. It wasn't, marketing. It definitely wasn't sales. It was the brand, and what do you think America trades on? The American dream. What do you think that is? I love New York. What do you think that is? Brand. Brand is everything. If you're doing sales, it's only because you don't know how to do brand. Because once you do brand, you don't need a sales team.
Gary, can a business go all in on brand and build a successful, healthy, financially stable business by just focusing on brand 100%?
If it has a good product, yes, of course, for sure. I mean, that's what we're seeing in a lot of these social brands, right? Dollar Shave Club sold for $1 billion on brand. It was one viral video. And listen, it's unfair for me to say yes, because the reality is everything's a mix. Like if you had a viral video for your product on TikTok, it's still smart to convert that to a performance ad. It's still smart that if you sold 1 million units of it, to hire a sales team to get into stores. It's funny, I'm backtracking because I hate the idea of all or nothing, but is it possible? Of course it's possible. It's happening.
Sure.
There's a lot of people who just do organic social, do brand videos, sometimes run ads, sometimes just go on the algorithm of the creative, and they grow to a certain point. Now, usually they'll raise capital or they'll take their profits, and then they'll start integrating marketing and sales. But brand is the holy grail. It's why the biggest Coca-Cola and BMW and Nike, they do brand for a reason. If they thought that they could get more out of just sales, they would do that.
Right.
And so there's a reason brand. I mean, religion, countries, the whole world runs on brand. Why we buy diamond rings.
It's all about an emotion. It's brand. Yeah, totally.
Brand.
And that leads into the next question perfectly. Organic versus paid. So many business owners think that they can only do organic, and others think that paid is going to get them to the promised land. What's your take? Where does the mix have to come in?
In today's algorithm-based world, I think it needs to be great. You need to be great at organic, and when things go viral or over-index, you turn them into paid. That is the new model, in my opinion, in iOS 14.5 and things changed. Cookieing and privacy eliminated a lot of the values of, paid the way we knew it for a decade. And then organic got way more important because algorithms now give you 1 million organic views if you put out a good video. And so, the reality is, for me, it's strategic organic content. And then when things work, turning them into paid ads. Brand performance is how I think about it.
Makes sense. Gary, finally, if Gary V had to start from scratch today in a 2023 environment, how would he do it?
What would be the goal?
You're going to grow a brand new business. Let's say everything you have right now, VaynerMedia, VaynerX, gone. You're literally starting from zero. What would you do? How would you do it?
I would make unlimited content on the 10 social media platforms, LinkedIn and YouTube Shorts for VaynerX, Instagram and TikTok for VFriends and Wine Text. I would just fully commit as many hours as possible to make content. Final thought, this is important. Social media platforms give you free reach without them charging you. Think about this. Think about how you and I grew up. I couldn't go to the New York Times and say, I've got this great wine ad. Will you just place it because it's great? People are always like, oh, the platforms, fuck the platforms are giving you unlimited free attention. It's the number one commodity in the world.
100%. And my Alexa's yelling at me in the background. Of course, it's perfect timing. Gary, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining me, and I look forward to seeing you.
No problem. Can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Hey, if you like the Ad Nerds podcast, please subscribe on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen. Give it a 5-star rating and a great review. I'd appreciate it. Well, that's it. The special edition of the Ad Nerds podcast with Gary Vaynerchuk. Spanky out. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.